Okay, so this is my first proper video on YouTube. I'm going to apologise in advance if it's a bit shaky. It's a bit amateurish. I should be using this on a tripod. I should already be using a proper digital video camera. Sadly, although I have quite an expensive digital SLR, it's about 8 years old, and they didn't think to put any kind of video capability on it. So I'm a bit stuffed on that one. So for the time being, I'm just using my wife's latest mobile phone, and we'll see how it goes. Next good thing, I'm not going to show you my ugly face. I'm not going to do a major talking session face-to-face like some of the other guys do. And also I'm not going to do the same kind of, in-depth reviews or anything like that. I'm really just going to talk about what I'm building currently, which will be an unusual and eclectic mix of old and new. So I do a lot of building for friends, family, and historically workmates. And obviously some people can afford the latest and greatest kit, and other people can't, and end up buying a lot of stuff secondhand from certain well-known websites. But yeah, you're going to see a mixture of everything. I'm not an expert on overclocking. I never profess to be, although pretty much all my PCs are overclocked, some to quite high levels. I guess my expertise is knowing a little bit about everything and an awful lot about a few things. So I would say my main expertise is in joining different technologies together, old and new, and water cooling. When I first started out, in fact, I think it was 1993 when I built my first PC, and I was fiddling around at work using what technology we had, building bits and pieces. Again, even then, it was a mixture of old and new. Some things simply didn't work particularly well. 1998, before I finally built my first high-end PC, if you can call it that, given how basic things were back in 1998. So what you're looking at here is my test rig. And this is the second iteration of my test rig. It's on a Damastec Easy XL. I'm just pan around. Sorry, it's looking a bit dusty and a bit untidy. I am working on the kitchen table right now, which isn't particularly good because my wife's trying to work from the kitchen table, so I'm moving stuff around on a regular basis. You'll see from what I've got connected, it is a really good mixture of old and new. So as well as having a SATA Blu-ray rewritable drive, which I know a lot of people don't even have rewritable drives now, or any kind of optical drive, which I find bizarre. But I've also got an old-fashioned IDE one on there and a floppy disk. So yeah, a floppy disk drive. I guess the younger generation probably wonder what on earth they are. But yeah, I can remember back in the really big old floppy disk drives, the huge ones, and the old Winchester hard drives, which were, not far off as big in terms of width and length as this whole unit here. Obviously it's not as deep, and only about 20 megabytes in hard disk storage space. As they wore, they sounded a bit like a jet engine, incredibly noisy. It is amazing how technology has moved on. However, some things haven't, and that's what I'm looking at right in front. That, if you're not aware of what it is, it's an Asus Rampage VI Extreme Encore. Yeah, one of the most expensive motherboards I've ever purchased. This one's for me rather than a friend or a family member, but arrived a week ago. I'm disabled. I think I should mention that because you're probably wondering why I'm doing certain things the way I'm doing, and if I end up producing a series of videos, you'll probably wonder why it's taken me so long to do them. I have a serious back injury. I've been disabled for the last decade, so I really struggle to sit down on any kind of chair for any length of time. I have to have an orthopedic chair upstairs to work from home, but I can't really sit in a car for more than a few minutes. Life is a problem on a constant stream of painkillers. And I know that the kind of trendy thing nowadays is for the doctor to say, oh no, you don't need painkillers. Well, I've come off them on numerous occasions over the years. Without painkillers, I wouldn't even be able to get out of bed. And that's no exaggeration. Mind over matter only works so far, because anybody who's got a serious back condition will know you can ignore it. You can ignore the pains for so long, but the muscles in your body don't ignore the pain. They start going to spasm. They start locking up as though you've had a fresh injury. And before you know it, you can barely move. And that's really the big issue. If it was just the pain, but it's the effect the pain has on other parts of the body. So why am I showing you this motherboard? It arrived, as I say, a week ago, 22nd of October. Really impressed. I particularly like the fact that we finally got a proper metal backplate. Makes life a lot simpler. It's also a good thing because, as you can see from this case, just over here, there was this annoying, apologies for the reflection, annoying trend of opening the back of the motherboard plate. The idea that you could get in there and replace cores and things. Yeah, maybe, but to be honest, given the weight of coolers, I'm not too keen on mounting them in the vertical position, when you've got the motherboard in the vertical position. I know it can be done, but it's always a bit risky. I prefer to have the motherboard built on a test rig. Yeah, I know Jay-Z 2 cents tends to build everything on his cardboard boxes. Not a great idea. He's kind of old enough to know that it is a bit risky to do it that way. ESD problems haven't gone away. They're certainly a hell of a lot better than they used to be. So no disrespect meant, but it is risky. Obviously, if you're getting free kit and something breaks, then the biggest impact will be you're going to have to ask for another one of whatever it's you got free, and it might delay uploading a video. But in my case, yep, and I suspect most people's cases, you can't afford to write off a motherboard because you've been careless. So I take full protection, and you'll see I've got a number of connectors for various things. I'll always be wearing at least one wrist strap, and anti-static wrist strap, and I've got a number of things grounded when I'm actually working. It's just safer. I know it's a bit more inconvenient, but there's no ambiguity then. The other obvious thing, don't wear polyester clothing. You know, if you're wearing the shirt of your favourite football team or favourite basketball team, as I do sometimes, not when you're building computers. You want to be wearing cotton, if at all possible. Nothing that can build up a charge and damage anything. So that isn't what's happened to this motherboard. I built it. Took me, I think, about 6 hours to build it, which is a heck of a long time, given that originally it would have probably been done in an hour before my accident. But I was very careful. Loaded it with the memory. Didn't actually connect much else to it. So I had 4 memory modules, 128 gigs. Corsair RAM, 3200. Didn't go for anything faster than that, partly because it seems a little bit pointless. I'm told from other people that, you know, when you're up to 128 gigabytes, trying to push past 3200 gets more and more difficult. You end up with a lot of faffing. I'm not entirely certain if it's worth the faff. And then there's extreme cost. Yes, you can get these incredible sort of 5,000 megahertz memory modules now, but it's just crazy amounts of money. They're very hard to find as well. I did look just to see what the price was. I can't find any of them in the UK, and I've looked with the specialist companies. So the stuff you see a lot of the reviewers using, again, is incredibly rare. I don't think in reality they would ever go out and buy it themselves. And that's kind of where I am with this video and any ones I do in the future. I'm going to do a full series of kind of, I won't say realistically priced, because this one is a damn expensive motherboard. It's about £560, I think, normally in the UK. I got it on offer. I think it was about £20, £30 off. And there were only 2 suppliers I could find in the UK that were actually stocking them. And one of those was sold out at that particular point in time. So here it is. So again, why am I showing you it? Well, it all comes down to this. And this is the OLED display. So when you're going through the boot up cycle, it goes through a series of code readouts to let you know what's happening. And you can tell if you've got a fault based on that code. So if things go badly wrong, at least you've got some indication of what you should be looking for in terms of fault finding. Now, if you remember the older Rampage Extremes, and I started right with the very first one, the Rampage Extreme one, which up until a few weeks ago was running fine, but it's finally died of old age. So 10 years, that's not too bad for a motherboard, but I think one of the VRMs went in the end, was struggling to regulate voltage. So yeah, bit of a shame. Almost felt like losing a member of the family after 10 years. And that was actually what was sat most of the time on this particular test rig. So that had just about every generation of graphics card sat on it at one point in time, just doing a test. Right up to the point where I had a twin 2080 Ti SLI configuration on there, which I know sounds ridiculous when it was only a 4-core and one of the quad extremes. But yeah, it got a fairly reasonable overclock. Going from air cooling to water cooling did make a big difference on that particular motherboard. In fact, even water cooling the memory made a difference. But yeah, sad to see it go. But this is going to be, or rather the replacement motherboard, because this one's faulty, will be the centerpiece of one of my 2 workstations. And of course, what we used to consider to be a workstation 5 or 6 years ago is very different now when you see these massive core monsters out here. So this one